Hi, my name is Tara Kachaturoff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today I have as my special guest, Wendy Caverly, who is a professional connections coach at Crusaders Networking. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and so we're kind of going to continue our conversation about social networking today. But before we do that, I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Crusaders Networking.
All right. Well, I have an on-ramp. So my name is Wendy Caverly, and I am a connections coach with Crusaders Networking. And what I teach people is a high strategic view of the skill of networking. And it's intended to make them feel confident, secure, in control, but best agile in any professional environment. Because every single professional environment the average person is in has an opportunity to create a connection, and that is what networking is all about.
And it couldn't have been said better.
Thank you.
And today, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through the anatomy of like a social networking event. And we're going to just dive right in because there's so much good content around this. So when people think about networking, you know, we can think of it as a process. There's maybe a map. I mean, you could look at it in all different ways, but we're going to kind of break this down into before, during, and after the event to keep it kind of simple in like 3 different buckets. And when we look at before the event, what should somebody do initially when they're thinking about going to an event? What do you suggest, and what do you know that works?
So, well, I'm going to kind of focus more on the random, traditionally perceived networking event, right? Because there's multiple networking opportunities. We're going to go with the classic networking event, after hours meetup. And what I suggest people do first is think about who might be there and what your goal would be. Is this somebody that might be a target client? Or is this somebody who might work with your target client? So kind of having an idea of what you're looking for, what to expect before you walk into the situation, puts you in control of trying to get the outcome that you are seeking by even participating. And some other things that I actually also encourage people to do is, first of all, you got to go. You have to say yes and actually go. It's easy to decide, I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. I have other stuff that I need to do instead, and then just pass on this event. But networking is about your future success. It is a seed planting process. It is something that you do to help future-proof your business. So that is something that deserves time and attention and a little bit of effort. If you're an introvert that has to, because they view it as has to go to a networking event, I suggest sometimes just think about what's the one thing they're worth going for. Is it being held at a restaurant and they got really good breadsticks? Go for the breadsticks. You're there for the breadsticks. If you are an extrovert and you don't have a problem going to events like this, it might be worth thinking about, okay, I'm all in, I'm all excited, I'm around people, woohoo. But you also want to make sure that your excitement doesn't overpower the other people in the room. So there's a temperament. So some of it is mental pre-gaming. I actually had a client that is so doesn't enjoy going that he will put himself in uncomfortable situations that make the networking event more comfortable. Like he'll sit in the parking lot with his car doors open so people will look at him and he's, okay, well, I'll get out of my car and go in because people are staring at me. So pre-game, whatever you got to do to get to the event.
You know, I think also another thing is sometimes if you pay for an event, that maybe look more for the paid events.
Yes.
Because when you have some skin in the game,
yes,
even if it's that, you know, that transaction starts a different kind of mindset around it.
It really does.
Because some of the paid networking events, they've turned out to be some of the best things. And I'm not saying free events aren't good, but
right.
Free doesn't feel as compelling as I want to make sure I get my money's worth.
Yes, no, you know? That's actually a really interesting, yes, I'm very glad that you brought that up because there's truth to that. If someone is investing money to be there, they usually have a little different intent and a little different offer to bring to the table.
And there's food.
And there's food. There's always food. There's always food. Yes.
At least dessert. I'll take that
yes.
all the time.
Yes.
So when you think about networking and your pre-plan about this, People are a little more casual nowadays. What about dress? I mean, sometimes I don't think they're even addressing that anymore. And people dress all different ways because
Right.
we're all in different kinds of businesses that require different kinds of attire.
Right.
Anything to keep in mind when it comes to the fashion end of things?
So what I love about that is it's a tool that I use.
Do you overdress or underdress? Or that doesn't sound right, but
I know what you're saying. Yes, underdressed. I dress to impress because I want people to see me there. I'm there for a reason, and I have also found that when I dress to impress, I have to do less work because people will walk up to me. I love that jacket. I love that necklace. You walked in the room and I knew you were here. That automatically makes it a lot easier for me to start a conversation, to get to the next conversation. So I dress intentionally to attract attention because it is a networking event. And it does, but I don't judge anybody for how they're dressed.
right.
This is a tool that I have found to be extremely effective for my purpose at the event.
And it makes you stand out. When people people are attracted to that because we are conditioned that way. So our eyes go there. Even it's an unconscious thing.
Yes.
It's an unconscious thing. I'm glad we
Yes.
brought that up because I love the whole fashion thing because I know things are quite different. So what about what should I bring with me? I mean, with women, we usually have our purse or bag, or guys, some have messenger bags. We all have all sorts of stuff with us. We usually have the phone, but should we bring the business card? What's the status of the business card in today's world?
Oh, I love that one. Yes, bring the business card. And I know there's a lot of people out there that that do use digital business cards. They, just hover and my information will download to yours. I'm trying to think of a way to say this that it doesn't sound odd, but I don't know you, so I'm not sure I want your information cluttering my phone.
Right.
And in a world where we're trying to be conscious of digital well-being, if the only way I can find your information is to have my phone, that may not be the best choice. I'm not poo-pooing anybody for doing that, but I do like business cards. And unless I'm scrolling through my contact list and I may never see you again. Where if I do have a physical business card and it's on my desk, I might come across it. I also really like business cards that have people's pictures on it because it's a great reminder. But my favorite part about what has the business card has become exclusivity. I traditionally encourage people to connect with strangers through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through some form of social media, because there's their extra layer of protection. I don't know you yet. Let me learn about you before I give you my, direct access to me. But the business card is an invitation to connect directly because most people's business cards include their cell phone numbers, their personal email addresses. They're not tiny little advertisements. They're tiny little invitations to a deeper connection. So I don't think business cards are dead. I love business cards. And frankly, I actually mark business cards at the event so I know how I want to follow up with the person I'm talking to. Is this somebody I want to talk to right away? Is this somebody that I hope to talk to again? And even, is this somebody that I'm not going to make any effort to follow up on? So I can't do that with a digital card. But to each their own. So what do I bring to networking events? Besides the purse, I do bring my business cards and I do bring my cell phone because occasionally it's worth time to just put something on the calendar, even if that's just a follow-up. Yeah.
And you gave me one of your business cards, and I do like it because it does have your picture on there, and I'm reminded of what you look like, and I like that. I like this kind of cards. You have a lot of information on there, but it's not cluttered. It's all like very crisp, and there's like regions on the card. It's really nicely done, and I love having your picture on there because again, especially when you're at the sea of people, it's hard to remember people unless maybe they're dressed for.
To impress,
impress, as you said, to stand out.
But like you said, if you go to a networking event and you do get a half a dozen cards, who was this person again? pictures
Yeah.
do help.
It really, really does. I love that. All right. So we're going to do a quick wrap on the beginning. So if you could just pick one thing for before the event, if you could just give one tip, what would it be? We sum it all
Make
up.
a plan. Predetermine how many people you want to talk to, and don't be the last one to leave the event.
All right. Great advice. Okay, now we're going to move ourselves over to at the event. Now, it's going to get a little tricky as we move into the event and we start having conversations, especially right now. People are not as conversant, I guess, in some things, a little rusty.
Right.
One of the things, because words that have come up a lot in the last couple of years, one of the words is trigger. Everything triggers people. And I get that because I have my own things that trigger me. Even in the writing world, people
Right.
with fiction and nonfiction books are starting to put trigger warnings in there because they're concerned that there could be some fallout and possibly litigation from
Right.
just reading a book.
Right.
So, and it's not necessarily a violent book, but everybody's triggered by different things, and there are trigger things. So
Right.
what is something you can talk about? I mean, personally, I don't want to talk about 2020. I don't want to hear words around 2020. I'm up to here with it.
I get it.
I don't want to hear it, and
Yes.
especially not a networking event. I can stay home and listen to that and turn on the TV, but
Right.
I want something joyful and uplifting and whatever.
Right.
How do you know what to say when you're going to these events? And I know you can't control what other people say,
Right.
but what's safe to talk about?
Right.
That isn't going to offend or trigger or
Two things. One, as far as I know, the weather is still an okay topic.
weather and sports.
But the fun part is, I mean, weather does give you an opportunity to gauge somebody else's ability or desire to talk to you, to talk about to talk about things. It could even create a brief bonding moment where we're not humid people. Oh, it's so humid today. I know. Or oh, my favorite season is fall. It's coming up. So it gives you opportunities to have little insights into their background, and it's a conversation that both parties are comfortable with. But
this is a problem.
So
I
yeah,
mean, it's a horrible problem now.
Oh yeah,
Things have really changed.
and it is hard, and I know I do faux pas as well. But if I'm trying to strike up a conversation with someone else, I ask them questions.
That's what I do.
Right, and that's actually why it's right.
You go.
My goal is to have another conversation with you, which means I don't have to tell you everything right now. I'm going to have another chance to do so, and in addition to that, my goal is to have conversations with multiple people tonight, not just you. So we don't got to get into the nitty gritty, anyways. So what do? I've actually walked up to somebody and said, okay, I've actually tried to guess their profession. Or the last event I went to, I saw a gentleman kind of over in the corner by himself. And I said, so I looked at you and I decided you're someone I needed to meet. Hi, I'm Wendy. And they smile.
That's a great line.
They smile. They feel at ease, and the conversation gets started. So what do? I think that's amazing. And if you want to know more, so how if it's a profession that's common, what's your target client, or where's your target market? You're making the questions about them. People love talking about themselves.
They do.
I do as well. I know it. But really, honestly, the goal of the conversation at the event is to create what I like to call the warm fuzzy. It's I made them feel good. So when I reach out to them again, they are far more likely to say yes to another conversation. They're going to remember me as the person that made them smile. I commonly will bring other people into the conversation because I'm a great wing woman. I'm a natural connector. It's my superpower. So why wouldn't I show
Then what you do?
them what I do? Yes, there you go. That's a good way to say it. Yes. So yeah, you don't have to talk about TV shows. You don't have to talk about movies. You don't have to talk about politics. I actually would.
They shouldn't talk about
I
movies or
would've-
TV because I don't watch it, so I know nothing about what they're talking about.
Right.
I read.
Right. So if you need to start with the weather, compliment their outfit, just introduce yourself, but really you only want a 10, maybe 15-minute top conversation, especially if it's a 2-hour event and you've set yourself a goal of I want to meet 6 people. You can't spend a half hour with each person.
I always find myself doing like mini interviews because I'm kind of sizing them up for, being a guest on this program. I do that a lot.
Yeah, because you got the background app
always
running.
interviewing people.
Yes.
Even in job interviews, I've turned them
Yes.
into like I'm interviewing them instead of the other way. It's just a habit I have at this point.
And actually, thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Because when I'm having these conversations with people, some of my questions might not seem deep, but I do have these background questions in my mind running that I'm already trying to think of who I know that needs to know them, who do I know that they need to know. So I'm already thinking of other ways of being of service.
Or if somebody asked me a question earlier that day, I'm trying to find out from them if they know how to solve it,
Yes.
and they're the person I can connect somebody with and look like the hero, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's really a wonderful win-win for everybody,
Yes, and that's so it doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be complicated. You're just there to create the warm, fuzzy feeling. So you have an opportunity to talk with them more at another event. Once again, layers. It's the layers that create depth. It's the layers that you build on top of. It's not, this is one and done. The goal is to see them again, so you don't have to make it complicated. You just have to make that connection.
Can you describe again, we had talked about this earlier in another talk that we had about dumping the paint on somebody. Can you go through that again? Because that is just so perfect.
It's a perfect, especially for this type of event. If you dump a bucket of paint over somebody's head, some of it sticks, but most of it ends up on the ground. But if you add it in layers, it dries and the next layer sticks and builds that solid foundation. Same thing in a networking event. My goal is to see you again. Therefore, I don't have to dump everything about me over your head, knowing that if you're an introvert, I've overwhelmed you. If you're an extrovert, you're probably not paying attention anyways. I'm an extrovert too. God love you all. I want you to have value in having met me, and too much, too fast is not effective. So if this was a dating conversation, ladies, leave them wondering. Gentlemen, women love mysterious men. It doesn't have to be all now. I just got to get to the next opportunity.
Yeah, you want to go on another fun date and do something interesting.
Right.
Meet, learn a little bit more.
Right. And I do tend to also leave the conversations asking if it's okay if I reach out to them again because I'd love to learn more. Maybe we can, I'm setting that expectation that they will be hearing from me again. And I'm also, whether they realize it or not, letting them know the purpose of my contact so they shouldn't expect an incoming sales pitch. Yes.
Expect an incoming sales.
Yes. We're kind of all braced for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we kind of have a lot of those interruptions like through a direct messaging, like in Facebook, and people starting to push on us. And of course in LinkedIn, the minute you do that to me is the minute you're blocked. I don't even read it.
Yeah.
You push on me like that and say, let's set up a time to meet. I don't even know you and you read nothing about me. Like the person who said, I really want to talk to you about the podcast that you do. I don't have a podcast. That's how much you don't know about me.
Yes.
You did not even take 5 seconds.
Yes. I actually have crafted a perfect copy-paste email. I have a 95% positive response to shutting them down, but still staying connected. So I put myself in the line of fire to create that. I spent a lot of time saying yes, accepting connection requests, responding, but people are tired. People are overwhelmed, and but that's another subject. But that's actually a subject close to my heart that I've actually actively worked on, how to deal with them without losing your mind.
Because it is hard, and everybody's doing it, and somebody's teaching it because they all think it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't like people who blurt themselves or push themselves into my life.
I agree. I love it when they have my profession completely wrong.
Yeah.
Wendy, we help insurance agents like you. Just briefly looking at my profile would have told you were severely wrong on that. Oh, hi, Cynthia. Got that yesterday.
Got to teach them how to change the name when you copy and paste.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So if you could just give one piece of advice when you're for being at the event, if you could just share one piece of advice, what would it be?
So you have a goal to connect with a certain number of people, but if you're talking to somebody who is following you, like you move back and they continue to come at you, a really great trick, it's not a trick, a really great way to disengage from that person and move on is to introduce them to somebody else. Have you met this person? You should totally meet this person. Come meet this person. And then when they start talking, you just fade away. It's very effective, and you did something nice.
Oh,
so I know.
Oh my gosh.
I love telling that story when I'm on a Zoom coaching call, because I literally will step off screen. Just
oh my gosh. For some reason, some cartoon seems to come to mind of maybe Bugs Bunny backing up into a corn, or somebody backing up into
Homer into the bush.
Homer backing up into the bushes. That's it. I knew something is Bugs Bunny, Homer.
But I didn't abandon them. I gave them someone else to talk to.
And I'm a space person. Like, I need the space because if I can touch you with my arm, you're way too close. Okay, that's a good one.
Thank you.
I will remember that. Okay, now we're going to move over to after the event. So after the event, what kind of things do we need to do? Because, I mean, you come home, you're tired. I mean, you can wait till the next day.
Right,
but
always wait till the next day.
What do you need to do to make the most of this event? Because it doesn't end the minute you walk out with maybe some of the extra food.
Yes.
You got to, like, what, or people are, walking, saying those last few things as you both get in your cars and leave and close down the place. What do we need to do next?
Effective follow-up.
Effective follow-up.
Yes.
What does that look like to you?
Yes. Well, once again, as I referenced earlier, I'm marking my business cards as I'm at this event, so I know how I want to follow up with that person.
Is it like a coded thing in case it falls on the floor and somebody picks it up and they don't know?
Yes. It literally is like I'll fold a certain corner of the card that tells me what I want to do with this person. I recommend my clients find their own style. It's something that I can literally do while still making eye contact with you. And so I don't carry an ink pen, so I'm not writing on the cards. I used to write on the cards.
Oh yeah. But you don't break eye. That's great.
Right.
So if it's to the right, maybe that means like follow up. If it's in the past, leave them there.
Right. I fold down, like my favorite way is I fold down a corner, and that tells me that this is somebody that I want to talk to sooner rather than later. So what I'll do is I'll send that follow-up that says, hey, I had a great conversation with you, really enjoyed it. Are you available next week for coffee or a Zoom call? I will suggest a time and a day. I never send my calendar without permission. That's a pet peeve of mine. I always, is it okay if I send you my calendar link, if that would be more convenient, or you can send mine? So I know people are trying to be considerate, but it's actually presumptive. So the next people are the ones that I'd love to connect with them more, but it doesn't feel as pressing because that first group, we had a great conversation. This is somebody that is, when the iron's hot kind of a thing. The second card's follow up, where love to connect more in the future. If it's convenient for you, please let me know. I look forward to it. And the third cards, I don't rip them in half. I want people to know that, but I do put a noticeable tear in them. These are cards, these are people that I talked with that I am not intending to pursue, but I'm not closing the door either. Right. If they follow up with me, we're going to have that conversation. But I'm not going to put effort into connecting with them more.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Now, I know another thing people are going to ask is like, do you use any tools, apps, or anything like that to keep track of things? How do you do it? And how do you have a follow-up sequence with people? Are you putting it in a spreadsheet and then they're saying like 90 days out or 60 days out, I'll follow up? Do you have it do you formalize it in that way? And are you using any apps?
I actually am not using any apps. Because since it's about creating sincere connection, they usually stay front of mind. I do keep the business cards. And, and I also, I am not somebody who, and I realize, client management software is valuable, important, and I do have that, but I don't have the trigger stuff set up on it. Where if I met somebody for the first time, we just met last night, and now your inbox is full of my newsletter, my weekly musings, my networking nuggets. Again, we're not there.
Right.
We're not there. So I try to be really conscious of this. I am attempting to create a connection that has long-term value. And that is not a one and done bucket of paint. I set it and forget it type of situation. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not a mentally consuming time, nor is it a time, calendar consuming time. It's a consistency of time. So it's that layer, touch base, touch base. But usually if you did create the warm fuzzy and they felt that you were sincere in wanting to connect with them, they're far more likely to say yes quickly, which means they don't necessarily get lost in the woodwork.
Yeah, and the one thing about using apps, a lot of people store things in them. They become like the storage thing you put under your bed or in a closet, and you never look at it except maybe once a year.
Yes.
I mean, there is digital clutter too. It's a serious problem.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and if nothing else, you could always just find each other on LinkedIn, because at the very least, they might pop up occasionally in your feed, and that's that reminder. Oh yeah, I
remember them.
I didn't get to have that conversation with them. I'd love to have that conversation.
I know we're coming kind of to the end of our time, and I know there's so many more questions I want to ask you, but if we could just do one quick thing on networking online, what's one tip just for networking online that you might share?
The only barrier to networking online is in the mind of the person. It actually is a doorway to a larger network that you could never access by driving. I talk to people in other countries, in other states on a regular basis, where I could not have done that prior to this door being opened for me. So don't view it as a barrier, view it as a doorway.
All right, well said. So as we wrap up our kind of anatomy, our little tour through the world of networking before, during, and after the event, if you could just give one overall tip to entrepreneurs and anybody really for that matter as they go out there and network in the new world, what would that tip be?
So it's not about making friends, and it's not about socializing. It's about productive connections for your business. So if you keep that in mind, you will also keep yourself from being disappointed more or having your feelings hurt, and you'll find yourself making better progress further. Friends come. Friends will come, but the priority is the business.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us and for talking about social networking and how we can be better at it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to share.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at www.michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.